I spent $100 on this box of PC junk, and I have no idea if anything inside even works. But here's the challenge. Can I actually turn it into a full gaming PC? Or is this just $100 worth of trash? So for $100, this is what we've got. We have plenty of hardware here to create all of these PCs. Over here, we've actually got a Z490 motherboard, more modern, which would be fantastic. We've got GPUs as well. Not exactly sure what they are, but that's fantastic for a gaming PC. Plenty of RAM over here. We've actually got some NVMEs. They say bad on it. Do you think that actually means that they're bad? We'll have to do our own testing there. But we've also got motherboards with CPUs in them as well. So we've got plenty to go around. I am thinking that a lot of this stuff is probably gonna be dead though. I mean, for $100, there's no way all of this is going to be working. We have a lineup of 5 power supplies, really hoping the VS650, the EVGA 750, and the Thermaltake 500 watt power supply all survive. We will be using a power supply tester to check all of the rails initially so that we can separate the good from the bad. All right, power supply number 1, all looks good. Oh, little side note, guys. So the -5 volt rails, they were used on older motherboards. So back in 2003, they kind of eliminated those. So most modern power supplies won't actually include the -5 volt at all. So if you see that that is not dimmed, that does not mean that the power supply is not working. Just a little note. Tell Microsoft to bugger off and get yourself Windows 11 CD keys for 1/10 of the price. Whokeys have a big sale on, and you can use my code IFR25 to get 25% off with loads of payment methods. Copy your code and paste it here to activate. You can even grab Office for your PC for dirt cheap. Don't pay a reoccurring subscription. Use code IFR25 for 25% off. Links are in the description. All Whokeys software products are on sale right now. EVGA working. You can tell this one's ancient because even the -5 volt rail is active and working. This one's active and working, no problem, but it is missing GPU power cables, so it's pretty much useless for us anyway. And the VS650 is also working. This will be our test system today. We actually tested this motherboard, CPU, and RAM combo in last week's video, and you can see that we're in Windows, no problem. Our Kingston SSD is working. The GPU, that's not part of the GPU stack, but right here is our assortment of GPUs, which I'm hoping all of them work, and at least the higher end ones, because we want to play some higher end games. So let's go ahead and we'll start testing. Our EVGA GeForce GTX 770 is working. How good is that? That card looks absolutely sick. On to the next one. Sapphire R9 390, and we have no display. I'm wondering if one of the other ports will work. Let's give it a try. We're not gonna throw it out. We won't give up on it. I'll hold it and we'll try the oven trick in a new video. See if we can actually get some life out of this card, but it's time to move on. Radeon HD 4890, very loud card, but no good. RX 570, 8GB model. Unfortunately, no display. We'll try a different port. Absolutely nothing, but we won't throw it away. The R5 450, unfortunately, no post. Our luck is not looking good. GT 710, no luck. R7 250, absolutely nothing. Limited edition Radeon R9 290X. I hope this one works. Wow, we just got scammed. Where's the GPU? It's only the cooler, no. Oh, that sucks. We are down to our last and best graphics card. This is the GeForce GTX 1650 Jank Edition. What is that? It's missing a fan, a broken blade, and we've got 2 fans just kind of zip tied to it. X mining GPU. DP is the only working output, needs lower clocked VBIOS or turns down in MSI Afterburner. That's, I mean, to be honest, it's still better than a GTX 770, even if we underclock it. So this piece of jank right here could be the card. So I've got display in, but I'm not getting any display on the screen. Maybe they accidentally meant the display is the only one that doesn't work. So let's just try HDMI anyway. Yeah, this thing does not work and it sounds like it's gonna blow up on me. So I'm gonna turn the power off. We have a bunch of hard drives, SSDs, and NVMEs to test. 240GB Kingston SSD. Status is good and it looks like we passed. Crucial 240GB SSD, weird results, guys. So we have a pass, But we do have something to check out in the status. So if we scroll down here, everything is okay. The only thing that failed, and it says it failed in the past, is the temperature. But currently the temperature is completely fine, so I'm happy to say that this is a working drive. Samsung 128 gig SSD. Looks like we are passing with flying colors. 320 gigabyte hard drive. Slow, but working just fine. 1 terabyte Seagate hard drive. Looks like it's passed. 2 terabyte Western Digital drive, and we got a pass. 200 gigabyte hard drive. It did pass, but it does have a status symbol. Let's check it out. Everything looks fine, except for the spin retry account. It looks like it's failed in the past. And honestly, the hard drives make weird noises in 200 gigabytes, so I might actually put this in the failed pile. Even though it did pass, it's just sounding weird. 1 terabyte Seagate hard drive, and this one has also passed. Western Digital 1 terabyte hard drive, it has also passed. Doing pretty well on the hard drives. We have a bunch of DDR3 RAM here to test. Plenty of sticks actually, which is pretty cool because we have a lot of DDR3 motherboards. So I'll do one stick at a time, and then we'll have to switch to a DDR4 platform to not only test the DDR4 sticks, but also we'll be able to utilize a motherboard that actually has an NVMe slot to test the NVMe drives as well. Ripjaw's stick one, we're seeing some weird stuff happen at the moment. It turns on for a second, turns off right away. So either there's some sort of short circuit happening or something weird happening with the RAM, but this stick is not working. I will try the other slot first. Slot 2 staying on a little longer, but it does eventually turn off. This stick of RAM is dead. Stick number 2 is alive. Let's go. 4 gigs, 1333 megahertz. We are alive. Another 4 gigabyte stick, 1333 megahertz, and we have post. HyperX low profile. Unfortunately, we're getting the clicking again, on and off. The stick is no good. And the second stick also has the same issue. We're getting the clicking again. It's dead. Corsair Vengeance, 1866 megahertz. And we have boot. Corsair Vengeance, stick 2, also good. Dominator GT, stick 1, no good. Dominator GT, stick 2 is good. Dominator GT, stick 3 is good. Dominator GT, stick 4 is good. So far, I'm really happy with how things are going. I wish we had some more GPUs that were working, but with the pile that we have working so far, I think we've made our money back, and we're going on to the CPUs and motherboards now, with our first motherboard being the MSI B85M. The pins in the socket look pretty good, so we'll go ahead and put a 4th generation CPU in. This is one of the ones that was in the pile to test, and hopefully they all work. Yeah, this motherboard is completely cooked. I'm getting absolutely no response from jumping the pins at all. Completely dead. Absolutely no responses from this B150M motherboard as well. AM3 Plus motherboard with an AMD FX 8350 CPU. The rest are working parts. Let's go ahead and see if that works. Okay, we cannot get any signal from this motherboard. You can see that the power is trying to go through. Look at the fan. Moves slightly and then stops. So there's a power delivery issue. We know everything else works because we've tested it in previous systems, so it has to be the motherboard or the CPU. I would say motherboard, but just for peace of mind, we will put another CPU in there and see if we can get it to work. Yeah, this motherboard, unfortunately, it's absolutely cooked. We know all the other parts work, so we've narrowed it down. Gigabyte Z170 G1 Gaming. This is a really cool motherboard. I love it a lot. Let's see if it works. Yeah, check the codes down here, guys. This motherboard is absolutely fried. I have parts in here that I know work. The motherboard is the only thing that doesn't work, and yeah, we just cannot get anywhere. It stops at C1 and then restarts again. That is such a shame, such a cool motherboard. Our next motherboard is a H97 board, but I'm not liking the look of whatever all this is. Looks like it's had a big spill on it. Hopefully it works. Oh, check that out. It's beautiful, guys. We finally have a working motherboard. Hey, some variety. Let's go. Oh, and whatever CPU is in here is also working. i5 4590. That's such a good pickup. This was also another beautiful find. This is a Z97 Maximus 7 Hero. And for the CPU, we have a 4690K. Fingers crossed this works. That is another CPU and GPU combo that is working. How good is that? X79 board, i7 3820, and you cannot tell me that this has not had water cooling spilt all over it. I'm doubtful that this is gonna work, but I do hope it does. Yeah, guys, I'm not getting any post at all. I think the motherboard is dead, but I do think that the CPU is alive. The problem is I don't have another CPU to test this system with, so I will keep hold of them. I will order another one, but for now I'm gonna say CPU alive, motherboard dead. Yeah, you can see over to the side here, a lot of that corrosion has all come to the inside of the socket, and I'd say that is affecting it. CPU is fine, but the motherboard itself, I just don't think we're going to be able to fix it. I was going to try and clean it all up, but the problem is trying to get in between all these pins is going to be an absolute nightmare. Maybe a future project. I will keep a hold of the motherboard. Our final motherboard and our best, this is the Aorus Master Z490, and it's paired with a 10700KF CPU. Let's go ahead and see if it works. Okay, we are stuck. Error code 92. There is something going on. I don't think it's the RAM. I think it's either the motherboard or the CPU. So let's try swap the CPU for another 10th gen CPU, and we'll see if we still get the same code. Yeah, look at that, code 92 again. So it's not the CPU that is the issue. Let's try the RAM. Yeah, no, this RAM's playing up. It keeps doing a boot loop. It's starting again. So there's definitely something wrong with this RAM stick. Let's try the other one. Yeah, both these RAM sticks that we had are completely fried. It just keeps doing the boot loop. So we'll put the other RAM stick back in because this issue was not happening. And we'll try one more time and we'll see where that leaves us. Yeah, we're not getting the boot loop issue anymore. So unfortunately, it is not the RAM. It's not the CPU, it's the motherboard. So we don't have a working Z490 motherboard, which is such a shame because it was our best one, but we do know that the CPU works. I have 3 NVMe drives here. We know that the end one works because I actually used it in last week's system. So there's 2 drives left to test. One is a 4TB drive and one is a 1TB drive. The problem is they both had a bad sticker on them with a question mark. So that means someone's probably tried to test these before. Let's see if they work, fingers crossed. Corsair MP600 Pro 4TB. Passed with flying colors. In fact, it thinks its life is at 100% green status. This drive alone is worth the box. It's worth the $100 that we paid for it. That is incredible. What a score. Check this out. This is completely weird. Samsung 1TB NVMe keeps going in and out of Windows. You can see the cursor is still there. It actually booted up into Windows in that drive, and I want to boot up in the other drive. So let me reboot the PC. Yeah, taskbar down the bottom disappeared on me. We can't even get out of Windows. We'll just have to turn the power supply off. Wow, yeah, this drive is absolutely terrible. It's getting half the read and write speed that it's meant to be getting. Meant to be getting 7,000 in the read and 5,000 in the write, and we're still getting weird issues with the drive itself. I think it's safe to say that this drive is absolutely cooked, but I am glad that we saved the 4TB drive. Wow, so this is incredible. This is all the hardware and pretty much everything from here onwards is all the dead hardware. You can see so many motherboards and GPUs did not make it, but everything from pretty much here onwards, including the power supplies, all of this is working. So we have more dead hardware than we have working, which is a shame really, but you can see we got most of the RAM working, all of the CPUs pretty much working, all the hard drives pretty much working. We only got one GPU. That is so unfortunate. So unfortunate. But that's okay. We have enough to create a system. So let's dive into what we can possibly create out of this hardware. Well, we may as well start with the GPU since it's the only part where we have one single option. GTX 770, that is what we're gonna be going with. Power supply wise, I'm actually gonna rule these 2 out. Number 1, this one can't even power a GPU. Number 2, this one's only 500 watts and we have a 230 watt power consumption of our GTX 770. So minimum we want is 600 watts. So if we look at these 2, they're both absolutely fantastic. 700 watts for the EVGA and 650 watts for the VS. Now, a lot of people would usually go for this straight away. However, I kind of want to save this one for a more power hungry system. So I'm going to go with the VS 650 watts because 600 watts is the minimum recommendation for our GPU, and this will be plenty. The GTX 770 would work absolutely perfect with that motherboard with the 2600K. However, we do have better CPUs on offer. This will cause a little bit of a bottleneck, but it will still achieve way more FPS in games. The H97 board has an i5 4590, and over here we actually have a 4690K, which is overclockable. Plus, it is newer architecture than the 2600K. We also have PCIe 3.0, native USB 3.0. The CPU itself is actually lower power draw, which means it's going to be a cooler CPU, and with the M.2 support, it's going to be such a better option than this, even if there is a little bit of bottlenecking. So I'm actually gonna go with the Hero. It just needs a bit of a clean. I mean, since we have an NVMe slot, we no longer need any hard drive, so I'm not even gonna touch that pile. But we will go with this NVMe because there's no point using the Gen 4 drive because we're not going to be able to utilize all of its speeds. So we'll go with this drive. And I'm also going to take an SSD for a little extra storage to install a few extra games and programs. Onto our RAM, and we have quite a fair bit of options. Here we have one single stick. It's a 4GB stick, 1600 megahertz CL9 timings. Over here we have two 4GB sticks running at 1333 megahertz. Here we have two 8GB sticks, so 16GB in total. C9 timings running at 1866. So far, this is the best option. Over here, we have two 4GB sticks for a total of 8GB running at 1600 megahertz. And over here, we have a bunch of 4GB sticks, 1866 megahertz, C9 timings. The best sticks, in my opinion, is 16GB, C9 timings, 1866 megahertz. I think we are going to go with the Corsair Vengeance Pro. Unfortunately, we really only have two options for coolers, and one of them is AMD and for FX CPUs. So this is not going to be an option. Looks like we're going with the Intel stock cooler. However, this is the D variant, meaning it has the copper slug, which means it can cool up to 95 watts, which will be absolutely fantastic for our i5 4690K because it only has a TDP of 88 watts. Before we get building, I also want to give this motherboard a bit of a clean. You can see it's got a load of dust and dirt all over it. And this GPU, it could do with a bit of a clean, but also a repasting. I think it's going to really help it, especially with temperatures. Well, we obviously had no cases in the box, but I did score this in a deal earlier this year. I bought a PC, he had this one lying around, and you can see why he was willing to give it away for free. The whole thing is rusted. Yes, this case is going to need a complete clean out, and then I'm gonna have to get some CLR on it, which will eat away the rust, and then we'll give it a new paint job. Then we'll throw in a couple of fans and it should be pretty good. The rust also seems to be eating away around the outside too. Here's the thing, the GTX 770 is not really a card I would recommend. The 2GB of VRAM is severely going to limit us in games, but we'll see what fun we can have with this card. Rocket League 1080p, the GPU was able to handle the FPS, but due to the limited amount of VRAM, the game was asking too much. We did actually experience a crash, and so what we really needed to do was limit the FPS to around 30. That's right, 1080p, 30 FPS. By doing that, we eliminated all crashes and we're able to have a good gaming experience. I'm not gonna say a great experience because 60 FPS really is that sweet spot, but for someone looking for an entry-level gaming PC, someone's kid, and they don't have a big budget, this could certainly work for them. However, to be honest, if you're going to be buying an entry-level gaming PC, if you can squeeze that extra budget for a 4GB or even better, an 8GB VRAM GPU, I would highly recommend that. Rainbow Six Siege was actually less demanding than Rocket League, so we were able to run 1080p with no cap on the FPS. At minimum, Rainbow Six Siege requires at least 1 gig of VRAM. However, I would recommend 4 to 8 to get those higher resolutions and FPS. If there was one upgrade I would make to this PC, it would certainly be the GPU. However, we did stick to the challenge and we utilized everything that was actually working out of that box, and unfortunately we only had one choice for the GPU. But if you did like this style of video, then let us know down in the comments. Also consider subscribing and check out this video where we had so many PC dramas, it drove me crazy. Thanks for watching.